that's what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Okay. Let's start in five, four, three. Hi, my name is Paul Neustrom, and I have the podcast called Stick to Success. And today I have Shannon Leigh Thompson. How you doing, Shannon?
Hi, Paul. Great. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to have you on, and so exciting because we just met each other personally last month. We're at a big conference in Houston, and it's exciting to learn about you and your business and the things that are going on. I hear you are heading to Paris next Wednesday.
I am getting ready to hop over the pond.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So just a little background on Shannon. And she worked for a Fortune 500 company in helping them to launch an IPO. In fact, it was one of the biggest IPOs back in 2016. And she was able to do some things with that company that I'll let her talk about here in a second. But they went from 1 billion to 1 billion. It was just a phenomenal number. I mean, to go 61 times
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah.
Jen, tell us the secret sauce. Tell us a little bit about that. That's an exciting. So,
That's
so
Thank you, Paul. And first of all, just I wanted to thank you for having me here with you in Texas. And what's great about getting to go to conferences and events and you meet people. So I appreciate you having me on as a guest. But yeah, the number is crazy, right? So just a little bit of background that leads up to how I got to be here is I was a head of corporate brand and identity, really tasked with the mission of creating the soul and the story and the products with the vision to go how eventually. And we acquired a lot of companies on the way that built that number from 1 billion to 61 and continued to grow. So I think it's like 160. But what was really important about that was the story, the identity of the company so people could connect with the company and it wasn't a commodity. It was a real heart breathing feeling thing that people could see themselves into. And I think that's what helped build that momentum of growth so fast.
that's cool. That's cool. So you've been helping entrepreneurs. You went out on your own. And tell us about that transition. You decided to leave the corporate life, start working for your did that. What was the passion that was driving this move that, you started a podcast called Pretty in Purpose.
Pretty
Tell
imperfect.
us about that.
Yeah, thanks. Um, Well, so while I loved what I did, I loved creating an identity for the company and the stories behind it. It was really beneficial for not only, the outside looking consumers looking at the business, but also with company culture. Every time we would acquire another company, you have a whole culture of people working in a place that we needed a way to come together. And you do that through shared values and shared vision and that kind of thing. So I have a huge passion for that. I love doing that. And also I realized that my values were not really totally in alignment for a while with the vision of the company. The culture wasn't um, driven as much by the same things. It changed, and I wanted to be aligned with more heart-centered, purpose-driven with companies and entrepreneurs. So that motivated me to start looking outside, looking to being on my own and getting to work with companies that have that same type of vision for their.
That's awesome. So you're basically from LA. You're headed for Paris. What's after Paris?
So I want to relocate from LA, but I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. So I've taken kind of a year and a half, call this like a half year of going to different cities that I was considering maybe moving to. And France is something that just nurtured me. So after the pandemic, I wanted to go back there. I was there last summer. I want to go back again this summer. And I landed in Austin. So I'm looking to relocate to Austin when I'm going to France. I'm going to Ibiza, Spain, and Portugal. And then when I'm back, I'll head down to Austin. And I'm really
Yeah,
excited about it.
that's cool. So you mentioned before the podcast that this trip is some business. So want to talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of your community are entrepreneurs. And so I really have a heartbeat for creating a life that you like to live, that you don't really need a big income so much. I mean, you need time to unplug, but that you enjoy it and you can work your life with your business. When I was in corporate, it was not that way. I worked 12 to 14 hours days and I traveled every other week and it was exhausting. And I definitely hit burnout. My health suffered, all of the like, there's got to be a better way to do this kind of work that I love, but also with a lifestyle that I like as well. And that's sustainable, right? Sustain that kind of pace for decades. So that's what I've been doing and listening to eating instead of writing it, which is I did that a lot in my career. And when I finally started listening to that, you know, all these possibilities of how you could do things started coming to happen. And I like to encourage other entrepreneurs like just to think about, what kind of life would you like, what lifestyle would you like to have and build your business in that fashion. Create
Mhm.
products that go around. If you don't want to be one-on-one with people and have to show up live all the time, then you might want to go work towards course or, there's lots of different ways and seasons you can create in your life. And I am so happy to finally be able to like, do things and still grow my business. So yeah, so over there, I'll take my laptop, I'll take my podcast. So everything will keep going. I produce my own podcast, Pretty in Purpose, like you said, the Pretty Purpose Media. And then I co-host another podcast and we're just going to do all work in material around wherever I'm at and just have fun with it.
That's great. So the address for your podcast is what?
Right. Show called Pretty in Purpose with Shannon Leigh Thompson. And you can find Spotify and Apple and all the rest of them. They're on everything.
Did you have a web address? Prettyinpurpose.co.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us about like a typical client for you and, what you're able to do for them. I know that you're a branding specialist. Your real forte is marketing. When we were talking in Houston, we were talking about this AI. And you just kind of blew me away with things that you're doing. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And some things that you're able to do for them. Specific scenario about somebody that you've how challenging, or maybe your greatest, maybe not a 61 time return, but tell us about Janet.
Yeah. Well, so first I would say just to clarify, my niche, but probably my specialty is identity, helping people create their brand identity and story, which is the foundation of their business. What a lot of people do is go to their website, go to their Insta up, go do all of the things, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to talk about what they're doing. And that's really the most important thing because you can start your business without anything and just be able to have a conversation and tell people what you do and get a client. So I'm not saying all the digital stuff is great. Like tons of ways to connect with more people. But if you don't know what you're doing, you don't know how to say what you do, you don't know why you're doing what you do, it doesn't land with people a lot of times. It doesn't stick. It'll sound like a lot of other things, and there's nothing really that's heart connection. And 95% of why people say yes is because of how they feel. So when you talk about what you do from a place that's very embodied, like you really feel it, you're connected to it, it almost like the words don't start to matter as much as the feeling behind them. When you get those two together and you have feeling with the words, you show up confident, you show up more calm, and people can really feel you and they can see themselves in your build that know, like, and trust factor that they want to know more. And then you can have that conversation with them and talk more specifically about what you do and how you can serve them, how you can help them. And that's I'm really passionate about is people finding their voice and getting really connected to what they're here on the planet to do. Like, why you were created to be here. And sometimes because we've lived a long life and had a lot of experiences, a lot of things. It's under all these layers. And people have a hard time getting to the thing that they really want to talk about. Like here is what they'll say, but I dig more and I have a process that I go through called the soul brand method. And we get to the bottom and where you really crack it and you can hear that like that's what's behind why I do this.
That's
And
awesome.
it's really beautiful because I get to see that happen in themselves. And then once they see it in themselves, it just shines out for everybody else to see. It's suddenly easier to talk about. It's easier to write about. It's easier to be seen. They're not as afraid to be seen because if someone asks them the question, how they want to answer it. So I'm really jazzed about that with the people I work with.
That is so cool. So is there any specific purpose you'd like to, or person that you'd like to mention? Maybe not by name, but maybe an industry, what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. Well, like two right away came to mind that I've been really, really proud of. I'm gonna mention her. She was started out in fashion and is it shifted into holistic health coaching. And she's amazing at holistic health coaching and private chefing, and she's in Los Angeles. And so she's done this with celebrities and everything. But the real the real story is her story and her struggle with when she was in fashion, how it started affecting her like, body dysmorphia herself and how food ended up becoming a thing that healed her. And it was also creative because she was in fashion because she loved design and creating things. So it was so beautiful to see how she took that creation and started using it in food, but it also part of her healing process of what occurred to that body dysmorphia phase. And that's really hard to find, to share because it's vulnerable. You don't know how people are going to receive it. Oh, but I'm like, whenever you're ready. So, and she just came out with a bigger sharing of her story and sharing what she did in fashion and all of it. And it's just really great to see what people are responding to her with. I didn't know you did that. I didn't know that that was part of your story journey. And like you can see people connecting with Dawn.
Mhm.
Like I knew her, I knew this and I this and this, but I didn't know all of this. Wow, that's so cool. And I could see her being more bold and, you know, stepping up and out because she's now okay to let all of these parts be known. So I get really excited about that. And I never, I'll help find and mind and craft the story, but you get to do it at the pace you're comfortable doing it. So it's there. And then we strategize of what you want to take forward that you feel comfortable with. It's never fun to go, I don't want to share more than you're ready to share. But at least you know it's there, right? So she probably shared half of the things initially when we worked together. And it took her a year to probably put on this other piece. And she just released it just a few days ago. And I was like, this is so good. So I think that if you could tell, I get really excited. But it's a
That is
process,
great.
and I respect everybody's process. And now, like you wanted to say bye. So
Well,
that's
it is that, here you've dug down and you got down to the real story, and that's substance. It's substance that connects people. And it's not always the high times, it's the low points that really, because people really identify with that.
right.
When I published it, it's all about in my life. It was the toughest thing I ever wrote about, but it can, and so
That,
there's just power to it. But when we talk about AI, it generates this generic type of volume of information. But what you do with that, I think, to add substance, to add the real story, to put yourself, and to help people identify with you is the real
yeah,
key. Don't you think?
absolutely. And we're human, and I think the only way we connect with each other is to allow humanness to be seen. And that doesn't mean it's all of it. We get to keep some things for ourselves or from our inner circle or whatever, but there's a way that you share it that doesn't have to be overexposed, but is letting people know. And that's like, that is gold. I always tell people when you are ready, that is the gold. And there are so many people waiting to hear that from you that will feel validated, affirmed, give them permission to feel that way they do. You like give them affirmation that they're human. I struggled with that for a long time because I felt like I had a lot of people look at me, this all American girl, everything's so perfect. She had it so easy. She was born with a silver spoon. And I was like, what? And it's funny to hear what people think of you. And, then when you get to start sharing your story like you did in your book, and people go, oh, I never knew that, or I wouldn't guess that, and then you start finding deeper connections. And I'm all about that. I think that's just what life is all about for me. I think I love connecting,
Yeah.
connection. And it does bring you to, so that to me is always going to be the foundation is that is genuine, solid, real relationships. And the more you're real about you can show up that way, the more you're going to connect with the ideal people for you to serve. And AI is a tool to help you generate content and generate emails and generate video clips. And you still need your authentic voice. And then that's a tool to help you just create more versions of it. That
Mhm.
makes that's a good way to say it. So if you don't know it and you're just it'll sound generic. But if you know who you are, if you know the identity of your company or your product, and you know the values behind it and the why you're doing it, you can guide, like let's say ChatGPT, to all this content that will help you get more out there, but still sound like you.
That's great. That's great. I did something where I did a comparison on AI of the quotes in my book of Death of a Yellow Page Salesman with
I love that
Joel
title.
thanks. With Joel Osteen's book that came out, because we talk about power of the spoken word, and
Mhm.
your voice is so powerful. And that's why I joined speaking school, and probably why you did too. I came back and had these phenomenal quotes from my book, and I went, "Wow!" It was like I didn't remember writing that, and I did.
Right?
It
Right?
generated these things for. I'm like, well, that would have been to put in my book, but the thing is that I was really afraid to be somebody else. And in fact, I never even had read Death of a Salesman. And
Mhm.
when I went to compare it, I asked my book coach, I said, do you think this is a good title of Death of a Yellow Page Salesman? And he goes, it's genius. And I said,
I love
well,
it too.
I didn't actually come up with it. It was like out of the blue. One day it was just like, call it this. And I'm like, wow, I mean, what a
Mhm.
gift. And so, inspiration is a real key that you're not always going to get from AI. I was trying to craft something for my, high ticket offer, and I used AI to come up with the Rise Up Master Growth Method. But I
Mhm.
didn't use, but maybe just a fraction of what they came up with. But it got things for me.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's a great way to look at it. That's how I look at it. As if my like co-worker with me, my associate. Like I have to, sometimes what I miss about being in corporate, to go in the room and brainstorm and have ideas and you just write all the stuff on the whiteboard and then your brain just keeps going. Like it's kind of how ChatGPT is. I was looking for creating like another pre-offer and I would the descriptive prompts. So the prompts are really important for you to get the results that you want. And then if you don't like what you're getting, you keep refining the prompt. So like I was asking it this and I thought the language was fun. So I said, well, that's pretty good. Like I talked to it like I said, that's pretty good. And how about we try it a little more sexy? And this actually put work in there. And I was like, well, that's too much. How about that? Maybe I'm sassy. And then, then it started getting there. And then, all of a sudden you're like, okay. And but it got my brain thinking and on that track. And then it was off to the races. And then you can kind of create out of it what you want. But you can really get a lot of momentum with it and get ideas from it. And I think that sometimes we just get stuck in and then we just need something to help it out of that spot. And then we're off and running. And I think it's really good for that.
so this is Shannon, and talking about some AI and on the Skyrocket to Success path. But I wanted to know, what's the real story behind Pretty in Purpose?
Mm. Yeah, well, kind of like you said with your title for your book, Pretty in Purpose came to me as just a total download when I was in still, in corporate, and I wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy, and I was struggling with, what is it that I am unhappy about, or what do I think the world needs that I could offer to make it better? And, with what my current situation was. And to me, and it resonated, like, as a woman, and I was in finance, private equity, venture capital, and it was a very big greed culture, and if I'm just straight honest, as a woman, I felt like my prettiness was a commodity, like it was
Mm.
kind of needed, um, but not valued. Like it's like, and my bringing heart centered company was considered, needed, and they knew they needed, the connection to the shareholders to want to buy, but it all felt like it wasn't valued. And I wanted to bring something forward, say, we're prettiest when we're really aligned with our purpose.
Mm.
That's where true beauty is. That's where true pretty is. And
Mhm.
I want girls and women to connect to that. And, it's great to, you want to do whatever you want to do on the outside. I'm not really talking about, the message really is that you need to feel beautiful, and you need to feel valued, and put yourself in environments that also valued that. And really, Pretty and Purpose Media was to create content and to create community with women and girls to talk about how women changed and pivoted from situations maybe that weren't so healthy for them to get aligned with their purpose. When they
Mhm.
finally had that aha moment, like, you know what? I think I'm ready for more. I think I'm not being seen here, or I'm ready to step up my game and challenge myself on the things that I really love. And I would talk to them, and even myself. I knew I wanted to do something different, but I felt really stuck in how to do it. I wanted to bring women on the show that shared their stories of how they did it. How were they an actress, and then they became, started this business of being a private college counselor to Ivy League schools. What was behind that? And you went from working with Oprah to wanting to do that. Well, there's a really good story behind that and how they did
Mhm.
that. Um, and then another woman that she got MS, got diagnosed with MS. She is raising money and starting a movement to be the first woman with us to run an Ironman, and getting all these people behind her, and even still a big Ironman advocate. And so it's just cool to see people create movement and create dreams that they've had in them for so long. They just needed someone to give them kind of a little cheer or a push, or a, hey, this is how I did it. And you don't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to look all great at first. But your heart's need it, and you're worth getting in alignment with what your purpose is, for yourself. Oh my gosh, so many women don't include themselves in things, or I shouldn't even look at women. There's just there's people that are big hearted and care a lot about other people, and they have so much to, and also need to include this picture. And when they do, they get that validation that, hey, it's okay. Your dreams are valid to pursue, and to be supported, and to be cheered on, and to do that. Come join us, get in with us, and let's all go together. All right. Let's all get out there. Because even if three of us said the same thing, it's all going to come across different based on how we were raised, what our experience has been, what our hurts are. And so everybody differently from different people. So the community with that's me. I want people to be seen. I don't want them. And if it's like been awkward and you feel at the beginning, totally fine. Because if you keep going, and if you need support, like, I want to be a place for girls to come and find that support and be strengthened in stepping into it, even if you feel like your legs are shaking in the front, you know?
That's great. That's great. So, been speaking with Shannon Leigh Thompson, and she has a new website that's out. and it's just her name, Shannon Leigh Thompson.
Leigh, Leigh is Leigh.
And Shannon with a double N-O-N and Tom Thompson. So
Yeah.
excited for that website, huh?
Yeah, I'm excited for that again to build a community where we have women there in all areas, finance, health, entertainment, health, and really just to support all the aspects that make us who we are and help us move forward in all those areas of our life to be as whole and, possible. So
So, so Shannon, you're available for to go on people's podcasts. You're able to speak on stage. What are some other things that you're hoping to connect people on this website?
well, again, like you said, the topic that we talked about, speaking about identity, leadership, 'cause that's just so huge. If we can't lead ourselves, we can't lead others and like team of people. That's something to talk about to companies, organizations, and groups. Um, and just the importance of identity, helping people learn how to tell their stories. There's so many amazing stories within us that sometimes we need help with how and what we want to forward and share in that. And that's huge for people building their businesses and attracting the people that they were meant to help in their business. So I talk a lot about that. And I think again, just connection. I just invite anybody that's looking for support and encouragement with moving their dream forward purpose. I do a program called the Identity Incubator. Where you can take that idea if you have an idea, but you're not sure, or how to bring it to life. That's a good place to jump in. And then for people that are established in their businesses, but maybe feel a little stuck on their messaging and how to talk about business, that's probably where I work with. Like maybe they've been doing stuff for a year or two, and they're just like, I know I don't know how to talk about this, and we go in and we do a deep dive and do that process that I told you called the soul brand method. That's what I did with the company when I was in corporate, and you really get there, and then from there, you can just, scale, because you can use things like AI and, other people to move your message along faster, but you got to have that foundation. So that's when we talk about that in Pretty and Purpose, your identity, who are you? Who are you really? Your intrinsic, your story, how you known for? What do you want to be known for in the world? And that's what we help each other do.
The Skyrocket Success Podcast. My name is Paul Neustrom. I've been speaking with Shannon Leigh Thompson. And you mentioned that a good way for people to get a hold of you, Instagram. So
Mhm.
how do they find you there?
Yeah, my handle on Instagram, name of people call me Shanny Tom. Um, so that's my personal my personal meaning. That's my name. It's with speaking soul brand method and Pretty and Purpose. So you can connect with me there. It's ShanniThomp. And then Pretty and Purpose media is where you can connect. If you want to connect more on the side of the podcast and seeing the women that are interviewed and the be doing live events and some that's there too. So get to get connected with a lot of women, girls in the field. And I would love
That's
to see you there. If anybody wants to DM me with any questions to, answer and direct or share anything I know to help you. If I'm not the right person to help you, I'd be happy to share who I think could help you to do that as well.
That's great. Shannon, it's been nothing but a pleasure to speak with you today. And nothing but greatest success in this venture. And we will see you soon.
Oh, I want to thank you too, though, because I love how helping people get on these platforms and get their message out there and do all. We have a message, we have to have a way to get it out there, and you're teaching people how to launch their businesses online and how to use all these tools to really amplify their message and do that. So I love what you're doing. I'm excited. If there's a way I can help your community, always, I'm happy. Thank
Oh,
you for having me.
maybe a final question would be do you have any male clients?
I
Or maybe we need to call that division something like powerful and purpose.
Yes.
Something.
Well, that's so funny you said that because that's what I was thinking for my tagline. And Pretty Purposely was that download time attached to it. But As Shannon Leigh Thompson, I worked with clients and I worked with some doctors actually in LA that wanted to expand and have more of a heart message behind their work